I cannot believe I was actually correct with some of these theories. Well, sort of. Hey everyone, I'm the Geek Apprentice and welcome to today's video. If you end up enjoying it, please consider liking it and leaving a comment down below with your thoughts so it'll appear to more people in the YouTube spectrum world place. And if you would like to see more of my stuff, then just consider joining the geekdom by subscribing. So for the past 4 years, since Nintendo first blew our freaking minds with the announcement of a sequel to the beloved Breath of the Wild via an ominous teaser trailer, we have been drowning in theories about the game, its story, gameplay, the whole shebang. But I'm not complaining. When a franchise is this adored, sometimes the build-up for the game is almost as exciting as playing the game itself. At times, I almost missed the mystery and exploration of our imaginations as the game was so unknown. Emphasis on almost, as my 150 plus hours of playing this game while also having a full-time job that requires work at home outside of my slated hours would suggest that I'm very glad this game is finally out and available to play. And let's be real, the theories have only just begun. However, now that the game is out, I wanted to take a look back through theories I made about Tears of the Kingdom prior to its release and see how right or wrong I was. Needless to say, I was surprised at how many I sort of got correct. Now, why do I say sort of? Well, quite a few of them definitely weren't 100% on the money, but they weren't entirely wrong either. You could say they were on the right track, and that's the focus of today's video, so let's get to it. The origin of the hand sealing Ganondorf. This video, published 3 years ago, was a first in many areas for me. It was my first true theory video, my first big video concerning Breath of the Wild 2, as it was known at the time, and my first video to have a really big guest appearance. In my theory, I posited that the hand sealing Ganondorf was the combined powers of many previous Zeldas. I came to this idea because we know that the Zelda of Breath of the Wild was not the only one with sealing powers, that both her mother and grandmother also had these powers, and we know it through suggestions in diary entries, as well as things she says in her dialogue during one of the memory scenes where she's at the Spring of Courage. This suggests that they were also part of the goddess's bloodline, meaning King Rome was married into the royal family. And of course, as tradition dictates, must have been named Zelda. My thinking was that perhaps a Zelda would only be born if there were need of her sealing powers from the graces of having the blood of the goddess Hylia within her. Hence why at least 3 in a row were born, because Ganondorf was not totally gone. Rather, each contributed her powers to the collective within this glowing hand to keep evil at bay. Perhaps our Zelda, had her mother not passed at such a young age, would have one day learned this dark secret and would have known that her fate was to eventually join the spiritual alliance against evil with her ancestors. Creepy, right? Creative too, I think. I was decently proud of this theory. It was even featured in an article from Zelda Dungeon and was shared by Zelda Informer. I was pretty hyped up about that at the time. Heck, I'd be hyped about that now. But it wasn't right. However, I did get one concept correct. That is that the hand is an ancestor of Zelda's. Just not a bunch of them, and not a female. Instead, we now know the hand belonged to Rauru, the first king of Hyrule, who was a Zonai, and must be an ancient ancestor of our current Zelda. How will the games connect? This next video is also about 3 years, but less theory and more speculation. In this video, I wasn't looking at how the story of the sequel would bounce off of the first. No, I was curious about how the games would mechanically connect, like within our Switch system. I felt sure that there would at least be some sort of treat for those who had played Breath of the Wild, but because I was highly unsure of how, I ended up defaulting to there maybe being nothing. But I was correct, something did cross over. Our horses. If you play Tears of the Kingdom on the same profile as the one that has a Breath of the Wild playthrough, you can get your old horses. Simply tame a horse in Tears of the Kingdom, take it to a stable, register it, and they'll mention that you've already got a few, and voila! There they are! This worked out great for me as I had that giant horse from Gerudo Desert on my previous playthrough, and there was a side quest in Tears of the Kingdom that needed it, so it was pretty easy for me to access. What are the Tears of the Kingdom? Maybe this one is an easy grab, but less than a year ago, I made a video with 3 questions/theories I had about the game. One of which had to do with the concept of tears and how exactly that was going to manifest in the sequel. I threw out tons of ideas, both metaphorical and literal, and suggested that probably most of them were true. Which was true. The one I was specifically shocked by was my suggestion that the tiny scene from an early trailer where a raindrop, as I called it, went back up in reverse could be a tear. And it was Zelda's light dragon tear. I also brought up the tears of light from Twilight Princess as well as the dragon tears from Skyward Sword as a reference. And Zelda is a light dragon, and those are her tears. So it's both dragon tears and light tears. Just interesting. Now, there were several ideas and speculations I threw out over the course of the past 4 years, most of which do not warrant their own individual section in this video. So before I get to the last theory that I was kind of right about, I'm going to list off just several things that I kind of got right that were passerby mentions throughout the course again of these past 4 years. Master Koga is alive. The successors of the champions take a huge role. Sidon becomes king. Pyrrha and Robbie continue to help us. The blue flames from one of the last trailers were in fact souls. Sages made a return. And finally, I was kind of correct about my suggestion that the dark-skinned Hylian woman from the final trailer was a previous Zelda. Except it wasn't the exact Zelda I was thinking it was going to be, nor was she named Zelda. But speaking of Zelda, Zelda will sacrifice herself to restore the Master Sword. Okay, not messing around, I had kind of forgotten about this video, but when I rewatched it, I was so incredibly close. It's insane. Alright, so a year ago, I made a video where I theorized that Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom was going to need to die for the sake of the story. In what way? To restore the Master Sword. I said that. Me, who doesn't really do theorizing. I got that right! Short of literally dying for good, this is 100% true. I was right. Zelda dies to herself. She sacrifices herself, swallowing a tear to take on the form of a dragon and hold on to the Master Sword for over 10,000 years, because it was well before the ancient calamity we hear about in Breath of the Wild, so as to sow her sacred powers into the Master Sword in a sort of incubation type of way that it might not just be restored, but far stronger than ever before. Now sure, I of course missed some details in there. There's no way I could have predicted the story we actually got, and at the time I'm recording this video, I haven't finished the story yet. I'm kind of like pushing off finishing. I just don't want to finish, so I don't know if Zelda stays in this form. I hope she doesn't. I hope she somehow is able to be restored. But, you know, and now I'm gonna have to avoid the comment section because I know someone's just gonna type out what happens. But, you know, I guess it has been over 2 months since the game came out. But still, I'm beyond shocked that I got this right. Zelda did in fact, in a sense, die. In other words, she sacrificed herself for the sake of restoring the Master Sword. So those were my theories that I was sort of right about. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts, if you were shocked by any of these, and also if you had any of your own theories or speculations that came to fruition. We'd love to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video and would like to help it be shown to more people, then consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my stuff, subscribe to The Geekdom. You can also support in other ways such as channel memberships or Patreon, which, speaking of, welcome to our newest patron, Massimo. You've been around the channel for quite some time, and I was super honored to see that you took that extra step to also become a patron, so thank you so much. Continuing with the gratitude, thank you so much to all of my channel members and patrons, especially those in the Hylian Knight tier over on Patreon: Joking Batman, Geek Mom, McToppler, Lorulian Sheep, and Charles. Y'all are the best. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.